So let me introduce John Riojas. He is an unemployment insurance specialist with the Texas Workforce Commission, and his topic today is entitled, What You Need to Know Now. So during this uncertain time, a time of more daily layoffs, we felt it important to have another TWC specialist to answer your questions. John has worked for TWC in this very role since 2000. He is the go-to guy for the information you need most, especially now. It was 1 year ago today when John last presented at the weekly meeting, and we are fortunate to have him back. We were also fortunate enough to have him share his information and insights at our annual Employment Expo last September. He was the key speaker at the end of our program. If you are all set with your unemployment insurance, that is great. If you are not yet in the system or are waiting on approval or you have questions, we recommend that you pay close attention to him and share with anyone you know or has been laid off who has questions to watch the video of this later on. So at any rate, no more delays. John Riojas, welcome.
Hello, how are you? Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Good. So yeah, my name is John Riojas. I work for the Texas Workforce Commission, and we're just here to talk a little bit about what's going on in our state with unemployment. So I think what I'll do is I'll talk for like 10 or 15 minutes on sort of the state of what we're in right now, and then open it up for questions, I guess. So look, usually when we have a disaster, like maybe a big flood in Houston or a hurricane hits Corpus or the Rio Grande Valley, we experience a big influx of calls in those areas for unemployment or some type of assistance. And so what we can do in those situations is we can, get help from other parts of the state that aren't impacted. However, the situation that we find ourselves today is very unique because what's happening is impacting the entire state. Right? So there is nowhere to go for extra help. We're all going to have to do with what we've got. And so, having said that, we are trying to find innovative ways to do our job better, to do more with less. But it is a challenge, and the challenge is this: over 1 million Texans have filed for unemployment in the last 3 weeks. And so basically, just to give you a point of reference, that's more than more Texans that have filed for unemployment in the last 3 weeks than all of last year. So that gives you a point of perspective. And so, and on top of the fact that we have so many people filing for unemployment, we now, because of the feds making available this money, and we're now including people that we never included in the past. People that are self-employed, people that are 1099 folks. Normally, regular unemployment is calculated based on reportable wages. So we're talking about wages that have been reported to the state of Texas by companies that you work for in the state of Texas. And so normally self-employed contractors, their wages are not reported to us for obvious reasons. So now they're included in the mix. What happens if you don't qualify monetarily and any other way? Well, now there's pandemic unemployment assistance that's out there to help you. And so there's all these new programs that are adding more and more people to a system that's already being strained to capacity. And that is why people are experiencing trouble getting online into our website to file a claim or to make a request for payment. Our phone lines are also extremely busy. We've done some things to try to alleviate those type of problems, but it's never going to be enough. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. I don't believe in sugarcoating things. I'm telling you the way it is. And basically, what we've done is we've gone to a 7-day work week. So we work we work every day of the week, 7 days a week. And our offices are open to take claims 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. And that happened beginning this past Sunday. A lot of people migrate to the computer and to do stuff online. And so those systems are also being strained. Okay. And so I think that if you're in a situation where you need to make a claim or you're trying to make a request for payment and you're wanting to go the online route, just understand that if you're doing that in the middle of the day, you may experience some problems. I mean, that's when everybody else is trying to do it in the middle of the day, right? So, the system is open 24 hours. So, try doing that during non-peak hours and, middle of the night, early in the morning. And I know I hear people tell me, John, I've been trying for the last 2 weeks. I've called 1,000 times a day. I don't know how much credence to put in that, but I suspect that they have tried a lot of times and just been unsuccessful. My only recommendation to you at this point is to be persistent. You must be persistent. I mean, we need to find, if you call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on one day and don't get in, doesn't mean you're not going to be able to get in the next day. I mean, you just have to be persistent. You just have to do it. If you're experiencing some type of other problems, passwords or whatever or whatnot, usually if you try, for example, if you know your user ID and you know your password and you know they're correct, and the system is telling you that that user ID and that password are associated with some other account, I wouldn't worry too much about identity theft or anything like that. It's the system's way of telling you, I'm being overwhelmed right now, and I need you to just back off and try some other time. That's its way of doing that. And so just keep that in mind. People, get frantic sometimes. I get emails and they're about to lose their mind or whatever because they think that somebody's hacked their account and somehow, is using their social security number and user ID and password to collect benefits. And that's not really what's happening. Okay. So be persistent, understand that our system is built to address the needs of claimants that have worked in the state of Texas, that have worked for companies here, and that those companies have reported their wages. And so if you're not in that subgroup, or if you're not in that group at all, then you're going to experience some problems, a little bit of problems. I mean, for those folks that are out there that don't qualify monetarily or that are self-employed, you do want to make a claim. You do want to make a claim. You do want to get in there and make a claim, either it's online or on the phone, and have something on paper. However, I want you to know that all we really know at this point is that you are going to be eligible for something. We just haven't really worked out all the parameters yet. We haven't figured out all the rules and regulations, who's going to be included, how we're going to pay you, what we're going to pay you. None of that stuff has really been worked out. I imagine it will be soon, but not yet. So what you want to do is get your claim in, and they may ask for some type, especially if you're self-employed, they may ask for some type of documentation. If you're a 1099, if subcontractor of some sort, they may ask for some type of documentation, or they may not, and they may reach out to you later. So if you have a claim in there and you're not one of the people that we normally serve, the group that we normally serve, that is people with reportable wages in the state of Texas, then the system is going to try to automatically fit you into whatever category you might fit, whether you're self-employed or whether you're just pandemic unemployment assistance is the only thing available, only program available to you. And so you just have to be patient. And I know that's kind of a tough ask these days, with people losing their jobs and you know, money being tight and stuff. But really, I mean, there's just so many people calling. You know, I will give you my email address, but I just want you to know that you know, it's steady. My email box is just off the charts, you know, and no matter how hard I work every day to lower that amount, it just seems like I make no headway whatsoever. I can work on it all day long, and I'll still have 500 or 600 emails that have yet to answer. So if you do email me, just understand that I am gonna read. I'll try to read as many as I can, and then I try to prioritize who the heck I'm gonna help. Who can I help as quickly as possible? I'm gonna prioritize, and I'm gonna go with people that haven't been paid yet, haven't been able to make a claim, or claiming that they haven't been able to get through. Or have gotten through and have gotten some type of problem. Maybe they answered a question during the request of payment incorrectly, and that's holding up their account. I'm going to prioritize those people first because we need to get those people some money. You know, but I get all kinds of problems. Problems that involve, hey, you know, I need to be backdated a week because you guys didn't backdate me a week. It should have been a week earlier, and or it wasn't classified as a COVID-19 disaster claim. It was you know, some other thing that you guys, but you know, all these problems are there, and we will get to them and we will address them, but I'm just not going to prioritize those first. I'm going to prioritize those people that are not getting any money and that need to get some money quickly so that they can feed their families. You know, we have a variety of situations out there, and so just understand that, you know, please. I get lots of emails that are you know, try to make me feel guilty, and I do feel guilty, but it's just that, you know, it's just so many. You can only help so many people. There's only so many minutes in one day, and I guarantee you that I'm working over 12 hours every day, 7 days a week. So I'm doing the best I can, and every person that works with the Texas Workforce Commission that I know is doing the same thing. You know, we're trying to step up because, you know, I know the state, the people of the state of Texas need us at this point, and we need to do whatever we have to do to try to service you. So having said that, I guess I can entertain any questions, specific questions, maybe that on topics that I didn't cover. If you're going to ask me about self-employment, I'm just going to tell you the same thing that I've just said. We don't know too much about that yet. Just you should make your claim and wait till we get back with you. We'll ask you for some type of documentation of some sort. If you don't fit in any of the categories, you're going to be funneled into pandemic unemployment assistance, and they will reach out to you when they roll that program out officially. All we really know at this point is that you are going to qualify for something, but we don't know exactly what that something is at this point. Any questions?
Yeah, John, I've got one from Jay Duffy. After requesting payment, when should we expect the money in our account? I have seen online some people have not received any payments after 5 weeks.
Yeah, well, that's unusual. I mean, that normally doesn't happen without a reason. And I guess usually the reason for it is that when you made your request for payment, you answered one of the questions incorrectly. And the two questions that seem to be giving people the most problem is the question, one of the questions that reads, are you able to work during the claim period? And look, we all know that you really can't work during the claim period because your hotel has closed, or your business is closed, or the restaurant that you work for is closed. And but that's not really what it's asking you. You know, it's asking you, are you able to work? Are you able to work? So are you physically able to work? Are you sick, or are you injured? So if you answer no to that question, thinking that, well, I can't get to work, or the business is closed right now, then that's the wrong answer, because that's why we're asking you. We're asking you if you are physically able to work. You know, are you physically, or is there something that's keeping you from working? And the reason we have to ask that is because, you know, at the end of the day, we're still dealing with Texas law, and Texas law says that unemployment is for people that can work. Okay, so you have to be able to work in order for us to pay you. So that's one question that gives people trouble. The other is, are you available to accept full-time employment? And once again, it's the available that is the key word there. Are you available? So if you answer no, that means you're not available for work. That means, take everything else aside. Yeah, I'm planning to go back to the same company that I was working for. Yeah, we all know that, but the thing is, are you available? And that's the key. And the answer to that one has to be yes as well. If you answer no to that one, it's going to cause you, it's going to be an issue. And that is kind of the problem that's been happening. The first 2 weeks of this thing, the last 2 weeks of March when this thing hit, the big problem was taking applications, online and on the phone for unemployment insurance, being overwhelmed in that way. Now, 2 weeks into April, the big problem is those people are now requesting payment, are making all sorts of mistakes and causing quadrupling the work that we're doing. I mean, because now we can't just pay you. We need to know, if you're able to work, And look, I want you to understand that one thing, and that is this. I know it's an obvious situation. I know that it's obvious that the reason that you can't work is because of what's going on, because of the virus. We know that, and it's obvious, but we don't work that way. We don't assume anything. You need to tell us if that's the case. Okay? We don't work with possibilities or assumptions or anything. We need to hear it from you. And so that's why if you make a mistake on the request for payment, they're probably going to hold your payment up and they're going to ask you to call in. And then that's really when the fun starts, right? You're trying to get in and you can't get in, and then they rule against you, and then they say, well, we're not going to pay you at all. Okay? And it's just a big dilemma. So we're working hard at trying to alleviate some of the onslaught of people that are making mistakes. And I don't think they're really mistakes. They're technicalities, really. But at the end of the day, they are what they are, and that's what's keeping people from getting paid. That would be one thing. Another thing might be anytime that you file a claim, we need to notify your last employer that you're filing a claim, and basically we notify anybody that has paid you wages during the time frame that we're looking at. So if you filed a claim prior to April 5th, we were looking at October 1 of 2018, the last quarter of 2018, through September 30th of 2019, which is the third quarter of 2019. So we were looking at that for a quarter period to calculate your benefit. Okay. And so once April 5th hit, now the quarter moved over one, and now we're just looking at 2019. So some people may not have qualified during, before March, before April 15th, because they filed their claim in March, and then now they do qualify. So you have an option of what you can do. So what you'd rather do is you want to start a claim where you do qualify. That way, we can pay you unemployment. So that's the one thing. And so if we reach out to your last employer and they don't respond, we need to give them X amount of days. By law, we have to give them X amount of days to respond before we can pay the claim. Now, if after that date, and it's about 17 days to be completely honest there. And after 17 days they haven't responded, then we'll pay that claim. We'll pay that claim. As long as you haven't told us something that would cause us not to pay you. For example, I quit, If you quit, then that's a totally different category. Now we have to, normally if you quit, if you choose to be unemployed, we normally don't pay you unemployment. So there's a lot of rules and regulations that come into play here. And so those are all the things that we're working on each claim when somebody files a claim. So it could be one thing or another issue. So normally that's what keeps people from getting paid. If you haven't been paid in 5 weeks, definitely shoot me an email and let me know. Let me look into it. It could be something that we can help expedite. Hopefully that answers that.
Yes, thank you, John. And I have been busy trying to keep up with all of the questions, so just know you've got a lot. This
I'm
is
sure.
yeah. So from Robert, what if I haven't worked in the great state of Texas, moved here in late 2019? Can he still apply?
Yes, yes. If look, we have a lot of people that have not worked in the state of Texas. But look, in order for us to handle um, your unemployment claim, to pay you regular unemployment, you need to have some reportable wages in the state of Texas. Okay. So, for example, if you worked here in 2019 and you're filing like in April, past April the 5th, then you're going to probably have some wages here in the state of Texas. Then what you want to do is you want to file, and then you want to tell us whatever state you came from, because now we can ask that state for your wages. And then maybe if we couple those wages together, we can give you a higher benefit. We may already be able to give you a benefit based on whatever you worked here, or we may not. I mean, it just depends. Depends how much it usually takes about 2 quarters, um, two good, decent. And what I mean by good, decent quarters, I mean just quarters that are somewhat similar. And if you have 2 good quarters in the state of Texas, then we can probably provide a benefit for you. If you have one, we probably can't issue you a benefit, but we can use that money and couple that with whatever state you came from. And maybe together we can provide you a benefit. Now, the problem now is that if that is the case in your case, then what we will do is once you tell us that, because we don't know. I mean, we have to. That's information that's vital to us, right? To your claim, and you need to let us know about that. States share a lot of information, but that we don't know what you make in another state. We have to request that information. So once we've made that request, just so that you know, I mean, that state is probably under the same duress as we are, and so they'll get to that request when they get to that request. We can't keep emailing them and say, hey, I wish you'd hurry up with that request for those wages. They'll get to it when they get to it, and then they'll send it to us. And some states are good at it; they'll do it quickly, and some not so quickly. And so we just have to wait. And you emailing me or calling me to check on it isn't going to help matters. I mean, because we just have to simply sit back and wait. Of course, we're not just going to sit back. We're going to be doing work, right? But what I mean is we're going to have to wait till those wages come in. And then another thing you want to do before you file in the state of Texas, if that is the case, is you might want to do your homework. You may want to go online, Google unemployment insurance benefit in the state of wherever you came from, and find out who pays more. Is it that state or is it Texas? Our unemployment benefit maxes out at $521. So, I know Massachusetts is like $800 or $900 a week. So if you came from Massachusetts, you might be better if you filed there than if you filed here, and then they'll ask us for your wages and so forth and so on. So do your homework. I had a guy that filed in Arizona, and could have filed here. He had wages here, but he filed in Arizona because he had most of his wages there. And Arizona maximum benefit is like $250. State of Texas is $521. You do the math. You tell me how much money he lost on that. Okay, so do your homework. Because once it's done, once you start the claim, it's too late. You can't pull it back. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. A lot more still coming at you. A lot of them want to know about the $600 per week from the CARES Act. Is that going to be added? When will it be added? Is it retroactive?
Yeah.
Are there additional steps needed for the payment? And what about it versus state extensions?
Okay. Yeah. So part of that whole stimulus thing was the $600 and also extended benefits. So with regards to extended benefits, I don't know if that's been ironed out yet as to who's going to qualify for those. I know that if you're on unemployment now, yeah, you're probably going to get an extra 13 weeks at the end of this. But how far back are we going to reach? Is it people that were receiving unemployment in when 2020 only, or are we going to go back further than that? Maybe the 2019, December, November. How far back are we going to go? I don't know if that's been ironed out yet. If you're in that situation where you've exhausted your benefits in January or February and you haven't made a request for payment, I think your best bet is at this point to call up and have us reactivate your accounts so that you can go in there and start requesting payment. And then at some point, once they make those determinations, then we can pay you. If you're going to run out of unemployment benefits soon, then just keep requesting payment every 2 weeks, because the system won't allow you to request payment if you haven't been requesting payment every couple of weeks. If you go past one cycle, so it gives you a couple of weeks to request payment after you start requesting. And if you haven't done that, it's going to close the account. Now, with regards to the 600, now, when I first heard this, I was a bit skeptical. I was thinking, that sounds like a lot, $600 extra per week on top of your unemployment. It sounds like, I don't know if that's, I'll believe it when I see it. And Monday morning when I opened my computer, I saw it. I saw the first person that I was talking with had gotten paid and had gotten $600 on top of her regular unemployment. So it is happening. So here's the deal with that. If you're eligible for even $1 of unemployment on a particular week, then you become eligible for the additional $600 that the federal government is giving out. So if your benefit is $400, unemployment benefit is $400 a week from Texas, you're going to get a check for $1,000 every week, as long as you meet all the requirements, every week until the end of July. And that's how that's going to work. With regards to pandemic unemployment, if you're eligible for pandemic unemployment, which that amount is going to be smaller than the 521 that we're talking about with regular unemployment. But if you qualify for pandemic, even $1, you're also qualified for the additional $600. So that's good news for people that don't monetarily qualify for any other type of unemployment. And that also will, of course, is going to be the case for people that are going to be that are self-employed and or 1099s.
John, people want to know how to apply for the extra $600, and also regarding extensions. Is that automatic, or do they have to call in?
Yeah, they're automatic. You don't have to call in. So if the state of Texas was paying you unemployment on the week, and by the way, that started with a week ending 4/4. So the last few days of March and the first few days of April, if you received even $1 during that week, you should have gotten an additional $600 to boot. Now, I do know people that did not get it. And I think that, I don't know what the reason for that is, but my understanding is that there'll either be a separate deposit for them, or the next time that they request payment, we'll pay them, for example, their unemployment, whatever their benefit is, plus the $600 a week, which is $1,200 for a 2-week period. And then we'll reach back and pay them for the 1 week that we did not pay them for, if we haven't paid them that already. So not to worry. And I mean, if you're in a situation where you got unemployment the week of April 4th, ending April 4th, and you have gotten, and you've made another request for payment since then, and you haven't gotten this, shoot me an email and let me look into that. And then, my understanding is that they're going to reach back and pay those folks that extra $600. So everything starts with week ending 4/4. Okay, April 4th. Any week after that, any week before that, it was just your standard regular unemployment. If your benefit was $400, you're going to get $400 for that week. Beginning with 4/4, it's $1,000.
Sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem.
Lots of questions. I promise everybody will get to your questions, but because the ones about the $600 are coming in right, one after the other, I want to address those first before we move on. So
Okay.
Does the, regarding the $600, is that a one-time thing? And would they still get their stimulus, or I guess, saving checks, as it were?
Are you talking about like I'm assuming that they're talking about the
The
stimulus, the one
$1,200.
that's coming from Washington. Yeah, the $1,200 a person. Yeah, this is on top of that, because think about it. This money that we're talking about, the extra 600, is only for people that are on unemployment, because you have to be on unemployment. So you have to be receiving, like I said earlier, even $1, at least $1. If you don't qualify for $1 of unemployment, then you don't get the 600. Okay, so you need to be, and it's not a one-time thing. It's every week that you qualify for unemployment, you will also qualify for the additional $600. And for a lot of folks, that's more money than they normally make in a week. But that's what the federal government is doing, so that's what's going to happen. And I understand the logic too, because the economy has to keep moving, and we'll get out of this sooner or later. And it's going to be important that people have money to spend, keep businesses alive and stuff. So I'm sure that's why they're doing that.
Cool. Also, somebody wants to know, is the $600 only available if you became unemployed due to COVID-19, or does it go back further?
My understanding is that if after beginning with week ending 4/4, if you are on unemployment, period, you are eligible for the 600.
Awesome. Okay, now we're going to go back up, scroll back near the top. A little bit long. I was on unemployment and it ran out in February. I received an email from my unemployment several weeks ago saying I may be eligible for an extension. While I was receiving unemployment, I had a part-time job in which I lost due to COVID-19. The question is, would it be best to wait for the extension or to file a new claim based off me losing my part-time job? And if I wait on an extension, how long is that expected to take?
Gee, that's kind of a big one there. Well, first of all, I would assume that your unemployment benefit would probably be higher if it just ended in February, because you lost your job. And I don't know what you're getting, but think about it like this: if my benefit was $300 or $400, and now I've been working part time, so if you were to file a new claim, that benefit might not be as high as that. And I'm sure that we'll have, and these are kind of the parameters that I'm talking about. Once your claim reaches a year, okay, then the only solution is to file a new claim, okay. But if for example, because the way unemployment works is the claim lasts a year, but they only put 6 months worth of money into the claim, right? So usually you run out of money in 6 or 7 months, and then you have to go another 5 to 6 months before you can file again. So if you're in that time frame where you've run out, but it's not yet time to file a new claim because your year's not up, then your best bet is to continue to file. If you haven't been filing, then the system probably just not going to let you. So what you need to do is just reactivate the claim. So you can call the 1-800 number, the 1-800, and see if you can get through and talk to a customer service rep. You can shoot me an email and see what happens. Maybe I can. And look, another thing is this. And I understand this, man. I completely understand security and social security numbers and names and stuff like that. But look, if a person sends me their social security number, their entire social security number versus the last 4, I'm probably going to help that person quickly, because I can just immediately go to my computer and punch in that number and find out what the problem is. If you send me the last 4 of your social, then what I have to do is I have got to look it up. And that's a process that takes me a few minutes, but it still takes me time. And that is assuming that your legal name is Misty, because if it isn't, then I'm not going to find you. I'm just not going to be able to find you. And so I'm going to help that person. Now, having said that, people are really creative about how they give me their social security number, without really giving it to me, if you know what I mean. I had a person using emojis that sent me her social security number, and I had to count the emojis, and I figured it out, so that's creative, and so we were able to help. We're going to be able to help her today because she just sent it to me last night. But that's probably been the most creative way to send me it. If you send me the last four, I'll still help you, but it's just going to take me a little longer. That's all.
Okay, that's quite a way to. Yeah, you took more time than most people would. Somebody has a job that's going to be ending May 1. When do they start to apply?
Well, you have to apply after your job is ended. Okay, so legally to be on unemployment. Unless your hours have been reduced, in which case you can apply for reduction of hours. One thing that if your job is being affected because of the virus, it's so important that you make sure that we know that. Like I said, we don't assume anything. I know it's an obvious situation, but we can't assume it. You got to tell us, hey, I lost my job because of my restaurant closed because. And that's where I do business. That's where I work, and it's because of the virus. Okay, so you need to tell us that, and that way we can code it correctly, and your waiting week won't be held, because that's another thing that we've done is the governor waived the waiting week, which means we're not going to hold back a week. We're going to pay you. Also, if you owe the state of Texas money, you've had a prior claim and you owe us a couple $1,000s, instead of the money going to pay off that, we are going to just put a stop on that for the time being, and we're going to pay you whatever you got coming, and then we'll deal with that later. So there's a lot of things that the state is doing to try to help expedite claims, try to get money into the hands of people that obviously need it. So yeah, that's the answer to that.
Okay. Somebody says they were on unemployment from just before all of this happened, and of course, it's now harder to get a job. What happens when they run out of their regular unemployment period? Do they get the extension also, and is that automatic, et cetera, et cetera?
Okay, so I'm assuming they already ran out. Is that what the deal was?
That I do
are
not
they about
know.
to run out?
What happens when they do run out? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't run out, just keep making your request for payment even after we've told you you've run out, because at some point that's going to kick in. Okay. If you ran out and it's been a while, and you haven't been making a request for payment, then you need to get that claim reactivated. And it's basically the same process of starting a new claim. The system will recognize that you are if you have an existing claim that's less than a year old, and it'll take you back to that same claim. You'll reactivate that. You'll be able to make your request for payment. And at some point, I imagine we're going to, once we figure out exactly who's going to be eligible for that. I mean, if you just stop receiving payments in March or February and March, I'm assuming that's going to that you're going to be part of that extension. But that hasn't been ironed out yet. I haven't heard anything definitive on that. But just keep applying. And at some point they will pay you.
Cool. Okay. Kathy Lansford has asked, I thought I heard in Austin you guys are open 24/7. I know you said that. Is each city different? Because of course we've got, Williamson County and Hayes County, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't know. No one's open 24/7. I mean, what's open 24/7 is the online. If you go online, then you can apply for unemployment benefits 24/7. You can request payment 24/7. That's open 24/7. But no, our offices are open 7 to 7, 7 days a week.
Okay. And also, she would like to know: do claimants still have to make 5 or 6 contacts a week?
No, good question. Job search has been waived. So there is no job search. If you have a new claim, and new meaning claim that was started, let's say March 15th on, you don't even have to register to work. I mean, you can if you want, but you don't have to. Now, we may ask you to do that at a later date when this thing is, as we move along with it. Just got to remember that things are going to be evolving. We're doing a lot of stuff that we don't normally do. And our rules are like, we never, usually if you file for unemployment, you have to go look for work. I mean, there's just no ins and buts about it. But right now it's waived, and it will be waived until we notify you otherwise. So no job search.
Yay! That's very helpful, since it doesn't seem like a lot of people are hiring right now. I have been notified that my position is being eliminated, but I am technically still employed through May 1. Oh, no, we already had that one. It's a similar one. Yes, apply on that following Monday. If somebody has been furloughed, can I still claim my UI?
Furloughed to us means laid off, right?
It means that they will hire you back as soon as they can, but yeah, who knows how long you're going to be furloughed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're not receiving a paycheck, then yeah, you can look. If they're paying you, then no. I mean, because it's just like you're working. But if you're not being paid, yeah, you can apply for unemployment insurance. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Somebody has been trying to call over 1,600 times. To be able to try to complete anything. It keeps redirecting her call to another number. So I know you guys are flooded with calls right now. Is there any guidance you can give about when to call and/or when to try to? We've been told by Opal Barry that she recommended to try to jump on the line like 2 or 3 minutes before, because the clocks might be different in different offices, and also to try the online like between midnight and 6 a.m.
Yeah, sure. The off hours are good. But you know what? There are just so many people that are on unemployment that are filing or requesting or there really are no off hours anymore. I mean, but certainly if you try at 2 a.m, you have a better chance of getting through than you would at 2 p.m, right? I mean, common sense will tell you that. If you've been trying that many times, lady, God bless you. Shoot me an email. I'll help you out.
You're such a good guy, John. We wish we could all see your lovely face.
No, you don't.
How do I confirm my UI account clearly indicates my unemployment is directly due to the COVID-19 layoffs?
Well, you should have put something like disaster or something to that effect. Those are the type of problems that, I get a lot of emails about that. And I really, those are kind of like second or third tier things that I'm going to get to. I'm not really going to, those are not the things that, unless they start affecting you by, like, for example, they're holding your waiting week or something to that effect, then I'll deal with them. So if you're telling me, hey, I think they held my waiting week because they didn't categorize it as a disaster or a virus situation. So can you help me out with that? Can you look at that for me? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll take a look at your account. If it's but if you haven't been, if they've released your waiting week, then it's categorized correctly, because they wouldn't have done that otherwise.
Okay. There was a mention of a 4-quarter look back. If I had a different employer in October 2018 to September 2019 and a different employer in 2020, which is when I lost my job, which employer do you contact? Do you, I guess, as Texas Workforce Solutions contact?
Okay, so this is what's going to happen. You file a claim, right? We go back into your work history 5 quarters, and then we take the first 4. We only use completed quarters. So let's just say, example, you're filing today. Today we're in the 2nd quarter of 2020, all right? We won't use this quarter. Why? Because it's not completed, right? So we go back 5 quarters from this quarter. That includes what? The 1st quarter of 2020 and all of 2019, okay? So, and then we take the first 4 quarters, which means all of 2019. So that's the time period that we call that the base period. That's the time period that we're going to look at. So then we take that period and we go, okay, where did this person work? Who reported wages during that time period? And there's 2 companies there. We're going to probably notify both of them, okay, that you're filing a claim. But the most important one there is your last employer. That's the one. Legally, we need to send them notice, and they have to respond to us. And basically, they need to tell us why you're not working there anymore. Okay? If they say to us, yeah, there's a COVID out there, but that's not why he's not working here. He's not working here because he punched out his manager. Well, you're not going to get unemployment more than likely. Okay. So, but if they tell us, yeah, it's the virus, we had to close the business down, then that's not a problem. We still got to notify the other companies because that's where you earn your money. And they're the ones who, in a normal situation, they're the ones that their tax rate may go up because you're filing a claim against them. That's not happening right now because of the virus. If a claim is coming in and it's due to the virus, nobody's going to get charged on that. No business's tax rate's going to go up because of that.
Okay. Someone has a husband who's self-employed, and they are asking for tax return for 2019, but he hasn't filed yet. So can he use his 2018 along with 1099s for 2019?
I'll ask on that, but I mean, if they were specific and asked on 2019, then that's what you need to send in. Imagine tax day is come and gone already, so. I mean, I know you get extensions, right? You can go all the way till October, but if 2018 is all you got, send it in and see what happens. But I would anticipate if they ask for 2019, that's what they're gonna want to go off.
Okay. If somebody needs to appeal, since that process used to be in person, what do they need to do?
No, that appeal was never in person. I hate to break the news to that person. When you appeal something, it's a phone call. It's a hearing that's done over the phone. And let me just clear things up. If you appeal something, you're going to be waiting months. Okay, you wait months without the pandemic situation that we're in right now. You're going to wait longer now because it's just going to take longer. There's a lot of people that are appealing, thinking that because they appeal, that somehow they're going to get a different answer, and they're more than likely they're not. So, I mean, that's not a good situation to be in. The best situation is to get clarity on what the issue is, and I know that's kind of a tough ask right now because you can't get through. Shoot me an email if you got a particular problem. I mean, if you're just appealing your wages because they weren't reported correctly, well, good luck there, buddy, because it's going to take you a while to get that hearing heard and ruled on. And it's just the animal that we're in right now.
Why is the pandemic weekly benefit amount less than the usual regular amount?
The regular unemployment?
Yes, sir. Because
you have no wages to base a benefit on.
Well, that seems pretty
so
sustained.
That's they're just. I think the objective here was to just try to qualify somebody, even with a minimal amount, so that they could then be eligible for the 600 from the federal government. I'm not positive that that's what the objective was, but I'm just assuming that's what it was because, like, my understanding is that the maximum benefit for a pandemic is going to be like $217, and I mean $217 if you didn't work at all. I mean, that's not a bad deal, and then on top of that, you're going to get an additional $600 a week. So you're talking about $817 a week, and you didn't work at all. That's not a bad deal, but it's probably low because you don't have any reportable wages. That's probably the reason.
Okay. If my original UI claim ends soon, will filing for holding week compromise any extensions?
Well, filing for what week?
Holding week?
Is that the waiting week that they're talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Normally, when you run out of unemployment benefits, that they'll send that to you automatically. So they usually send it to you at the end. They usually send it at the end of the claim. If you had filed because of the virus, then they would have given it to you right off the bat. But if you filed prior to all this stuff happening and they held your waiting week, they'll give that to you at the end of the claim. That when your regular unemployment runs out.
Okay. Somebody said that they heard that you guys are allowing the people to claim the waiting week right away instead of waiting for the benefits exhaustion or till starting a job. Person said they did so, however, they didn't get money for it as they got their last paycheck in the same week that they were applicable for the waiting week. So, how do they get the waiting week money too?
Okay, so, well, look, if it's virus related and that's the way it was categorized, then that's done automatically. We don't hold your waiting week. Okay, if we do, for example, and like in this guy's particular case, I think he's talking about he made too much money or something. He got his last paycheck that first week. So then that's not your first week. Okay, your first week is the following week. If you made too much money, if you worked full time and you filed for unemployment that week, technically you weren't supposed to. Okay. But if you did, then we probably disqualified you for that week because either you made too much or you worked 40 hours. And so that's not your first week. Your first week is the next week, and they probably already paid you for that.
I think this one's really pertinent to what's happening right now. So, what if you have been offered work at an essential employer via a temp agency, but it could compromise your health and the health of the people you're living with? You know, will you be kicked off UI due to not risking their lives for a job, especially if that employer isn't providing social distancing, sanitizer, airflow masks, etc.? You know, we just need to know what you guys will say if they say, look, I don't want to go to work where I'm going to possibly get sick.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not going to give you an answer that's going to cover everybody. Certainly, you can make your argument. You know, I mean, if you are refusing work, normally, what if you refuse a job, we'll hold you accountable for that. I mean, we'll ask, you know, why'd you turn that job down or whatever. In this situation, I mean, that'd be a good argument. You know, hey, I live with my dad lives with me, and he's elderly, and I don't want to put him at risk. You know, and no matter how careful you are, it doesn't guarantee, and I don't want to take that kind of chance. Or I've got kids, they're asthmatic, or whatever. You can make your argument. You know, certainly, and somebody will rule on that, and you know, I imagine that our people are pretty sympathetic to stuff like that. So I don't know, a case by case basis, but I'm pretty sure you can make your argument.
Yeah, John, we're getting a lot of questions that are very particular to people's certain situations, but because it's taking 600 calls to possibly not even get in, I'm going to try to feed some of these to you as best I can.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, there's somebody who says that they have a friend that works in the oil industry, but because of the drop in oil prices, her company's cut her hours by 10% and her wages by 20%. The cut was voluntary, and she was afraid if she didn't take it, she would suffer retaliation later. Can she file a claim for lost wages? How? She tried to file UA benefits claim online, and one of the questions was, when was the last day you worked? So, you know, it's kind of like, can you give some guidance on that?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, if your hours have been reduced or your pay has been reduced, you can always make a claim, right? Whether you get paid or not, that's a completely different story. Okay, if you're in the oil business, you're probably making good money, right? So, the way it's going to work is, let's say you max out. You made over 45,000, so you max out. You're going to max out at 521 a week, right? And so that's 125% of 521 is around, I want to say about 640 or something like that. It could be off a few dollars. So 640 becomes your like threshold, right? If during the other days that you worked that week, you made over 640, we're not going to pay you anyway. Okay? A lot of people think that, hey, they're cutting me off 8 hours. That's a full day pay. You know, Texas Workforce Commission is going to make up that day. No, we're not. That's not how it works. Okay? We take your benefit. We give you an additional 25%. The maximum benefit right now is 520. 125% of that is about 640. So 640 is like the most anybody can make on unemployment. Okay. So if you work during the other days and you make more than that, we're not going to pay you. If you make less than that, we'll pay you the difference. And if you do qualify for even $1, like I said, then you'll also qualify for the extra 600. But you know, whether you get something out of it, depends on your benefit plus 25% minus whatever it is that you're making working those other days of the week.
Okay, and then back to that wonderful $600 everybody wants and probably needs. Could you confirm whether claimants who filed prior to March will get that?
No. It starts with week ending 4/4. I said that. April 4th, week ending April 4th. If you were on unemployment for that week, starting that week on, you start getting the money. Anything prior to that is no.
Now that's probably on me. I'm trying to field questions at the same time. Since
hey, I'm getting a little testy, huh?
No. I mean, yeah, 600 emails a day. I understand.
Yeah.
Since my unemployment ran out in February and I haven't been able to request payment since getting the email telling me I may qualify for an extension, will I be penalized and not get the past payments?
No. Just reactivate the account, which will allow you to go back there and make those requests. And then I don't know if that's been ironed out. Who's going to be part of that group? I would imagine that if you filed in if you were getting unemployment in 2020, I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I would think that you'd be part of that group. And now what has to be decided is, are they going to go back and start paying you the extra 600 from the 4th on, or how is that going to work? Are they going to, if you ended it in February, are they going to add 13 weeks to that? Or are they going to start, all those are the things that need to be ironed out. Or are we going to start from, 4/4, or how's that going to work? But absolutely what you want to do is make the request for payment. Reactivate your account, and I'll try to get more information on that, but as soon as it comes in. But like right now, we don't really know exactly how that's going to work out. So your best bet is reactivate your account and start making requests for payments. That way you're going to be covered.
And that's perfect. It falls into the next question of how do I reactivate my account?
Well, you normally just kind of like you need to really talk to a customer service representative and have them reactivate your account. It's a simple procedure. It's not doesn't take long. If you're in that situation, shoot me an email and see what I can do.
Perfect. Somebody's asking when you guys are going to reopen because they'd love to be able to use your resources on site.
You mean the Alamo Workforce Solutions offices?
Yeah, well, that's right. Because guys, he's in San Antonio, so we don't know necessarily. Do you know about Travis County?
Yeah. Sure, I do. Yeah. Hey, I cover everything from El Paso to the Rio Grande Valley to Victoria to Austin and back to El Paso. Anything in that area is mine. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar with all the. Look, obviously, we're trying to be responsible and make sure that we don't add to the problem. And so I suspect that, if you want to go to the workforce system, they're only allowing certain amount of people in. You have to make appointments or whatever the criteria is right now for each center individually. We're going to follow that because, we don't want to add to the problem. We want to be responsible citizens.
Okay, if I were to take on a temporary part-time work, once my work with that company has ended, would that in any way compromise reactivating benefits?
Well, once your job ends with that particular part-time company or whatever, we need to be doing investigation. So let's say you're reporting wages. We're making the calculations. We're paying you the difference. And then all of a sudden you stop reporting wages. That signals a separation. We put your account on hold. We ask you to call in. Hey, what's going on here? Oh, well, my job ended. Okay, what's the name of the company? We contact the company. The company says, yeah, temporary job, it's over. Then we continue to pay benefits. If they say to us, no, she quit, then that's a different story. We'll deal with that. Also want to just make sure that people understand, if you're working for a temp agency, they usually have you sign an agreement that says that you have to notify them within 24 to 48 hours after your job is ended. If you don't do that and you have no proof of that, they can always claim that you did not, let them know, and then that will disqualify you because that will be considered voluntary quit. And if you voluntarily quit, you're not entitled to unemployment benefits. So you want to be real careful about that. Make sure that you have some type of documentation, whether that be an email to your boss, to whoever that person is that you're supposed to notify. Read the agreement that you signed. It's pretty specific there. Or to whoever you're reporting to. Just make sure. Remember, you work for the temp agency, not the company that they send you to work for. We've had claimants that have claimed that the company, that the temp agency called them and told them, "Hey, Friday's your last day. Don't forget," and then claimed that they didn't know that. And we got to say, hey, you got to prove it. How can you prove that that's what happened? A phone record that indicates that you called that company or that they called you isn't going to do the trick. You need to put that in writing.
I got somebody saying that there are certain situations where it seems to come up that you need to actually reach out and talk to somebody. Can you kind of give an idea of what situations those might be?
Yeah. Specifically, if you answer the question wrong on your request for payment, if we look at your, because we have your wage records, right? I mean, we know where you've worked, right? And if, for example, you're telling us that the last company you worked for was ABC Company, and we have you working that following quarter at Z Company, so to us it looks like Z Company was your last employer, but you're telling us it's this other company. We may need to clarify that, because that doesn't make sense, And we need to, well, like I said, we need to know who your last employer is, because they're the ones that are important, because they're the ones that are going to tell us why you're not working there anymore, and that's important to whether or not you qualify for an employment insurance. So hopefully that makes sense.